Welcome everyone, back to the tasting room. This is Chris LaFleur and we are tasting some Zinfandel from Napa Valley. This is lot 867. So why should you look for this Zinfandel? Well, it's simple. This is a great Zinfandel that shows everything that's wonderful about this particular grape. One of the things that I notice most about Zinfandel is that it is afflicted by something called Meritage. Now, when sometimes this happens with other grapes, it's because of some deficiency in the season, like maybe you get a little bit of frost early or you get too much rain around bud break, and this ends up causing Meritage, which is uneven ripening. Uneven ripening means that on the same bunch when you get to the end of the season, you're gonna have a fully raisinated grape, a just ripe grape, an underripe grape, and everything in between. Overall, you might say that's a little bit difficult for getting a strong character to the wine, so some people don't like that. But with Zinfandel, it's par for the course. Even when you have a totally normal beginning to the season, you still have Meritage by the time you get to the end. Some people combat that by ending up making a wine that is a little bit overripe, because if you have some grapes on the bunch that are underripe, you want to just get them all the way fully ripe. You get a lot more raisins that way, but you still get a wine that's consistent. But I think those wines are less interesting than one that has the Frankenstein of character that this one does. So let's see what we can get here. What I get when I look at this is a nice core of red fruit. I see that there is a little bit of staining along the rim, but it's not driven by that because this isn't generally a grape that throws lots of color, but it still has a pretty deep core. So we still get color, we just don't get a ton of staining. That's okay. What else can we get from the nose here? Oh boy, well, lots. So first off, I'm getting a lot of red fruit. I'm getting some black fruit. I'm even getting a little bit of blueberries, so some blue fruit, and there's even a strong sense of jam here, which is pretty consistent for a grape that is different ripening levels all across the same bunches. Kind of interesting if you ask me. I think that's very cool. What I also get is a strong concentration of fruit, and that's because this is made from old vines. Old vines tend to look a little bit gnarly in the vineyard. They look real cool when you get to see them up close, and old vines also restrict yield. If you have a really bad season, you might drop some of the bunches on your vines to reduce the yield and overall allow the same amount of energy coming up from the roots to get spread out less, and you get a more concentrated wine. With this, because these are old vines, they naturally do that. You don't have to worry about dropping fruit. It naturally restrains itself by having not a lot of room for new stuff to grow. One last thing about this before we taste it, because I know it's a bit of a tease at this point, I'm talking all about it. There is a fair amount of oak here, but it's not overpowering. It feels really well integrated. This is 2019 wine, so over time, things tend to come together. And this has 24 months in oak with about 40% new barrels. It also is a fusion barrel of oak, which is to say that you have American oak here, Hungarian oak here, and French oak here. So again, with a grape that has every flavor under the sun, now it has every treatment that it can too. And it comes together really well. Let's taste it. Oh boy, oh girl, that is good. So what I like about this is that I have a nice core of acidity from the underripe sections of the fruit that work their way out to the riper areas. I have some tannins that change to become really aggressive to being very resolved, which is also really interesting to see that evolution. And I also have a jammy set of fruit as well as an underripe set of fruit. So everything is in balance here. It's incredible. I think one of the things that you should do is first off, get a case of this, lay it down in your cellar for probably about 6 months, because I think it's gonna hold for a little bit of time. And then when you open it up with your friends, ask them what they smell out of it and see exactly how much of it you can pick out. There's tons of stuff here. You'll never get to the bottom of this wine. I think that's part of the things that make it pleasurable. So with that, dig deep, get your Zinfandel, and I will see you at the next glass.